coming at you live, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
What's happening, Nation's Corner fam? I'm back. I'm your host, Tony Justice. And it's been a long time, but good to see all of y'all again. And with me is my cast of characters for the evening. First off, we have the great, the powerful, the Debhausen. How you doing, Deb?
I'm doing great. It's nice to have you back. It's been a while.
I know. Well, I've been on Zoom with y'all, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. And we have Mr. Clutch himself coming in tonight, Mr. Stephen Wyand. How's it going, Stephen?
What is going on? Yes, I am here for the first time in a while as well, talking all things professional wrestling. Let's do this.
Yes, sir. And as you just saw, we have a brand new intro for 3 years. We hit the 3-year mark as Nation's Corner, and the creator of that intro is with us tonight as well. The reliable, he's pretty powerful himself. Just don't piss him off. Hijacker Mike. What's going on, brother?
Come on, man. I'm a lovable guy.
You are until you're mad.
hey, I still want our $10 back in Austin, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was
maybe
bullshit.
One day you'll finish your story just like Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40.
We'll get there. But yeah, happy 3rd anniversary to everybody. I know it was the 30th of June and we weren't live last week because of the pay-per-view with WWE, but happy 3 years with everybody here. It's been a great show, a great time, and a great group of folks to keep this show moving and rolling.
Yeah, we have the show, and we thank y'all for joining us in the live chat. But really, this show is not just about who you see on the screen. It's about who is in the crew, and everyone in the crew helps us roll right along. And we couldn't ask for a better support system with everyone there. So thank y'all for all that you do. And that's it, man. So
yeah,
we're gonna have a good show. So as you could tell, I'm in a new establishment here. This is my new home. It's not quite done yet. Behind me there is my studio, and it just isn't finished yet. So I'm in here in the kitchen part, but I've got some stuff, kind of aesthetically appeasing to the eye, So but yeah, it's been a long.
Some would say the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. It's funny that you said the eye of the beholder.
Yes, coming from me. Yes.
But, yeah, I had to take some time off, man, because I had a lot of stuff going on. I still kind of do. But I couldn't stay away any longer, man. I had to come back and get back on board. So here we are. So this week in wrestling, man, we've had a lot happen. Of course, it's it every week, right? We always say, what are we going to talk about? But dang well there's plenty to talk about. Stuff keeps rolling on in WWE with the Bloodline. AEW is getting their stuff together and starting to tell some stories with Mariah May and Tony Storm, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But right now I want to start the show off with a little bit of kayfabe discussion. There's a lot of talk these days about new kayfabe. Of course, old kayfabe. Kayfabe is, of course, a wrestling term, and it's what they use in the professional wrestling world for, we all know what kayfabe is. And back in the day, they used to do things to actually protect the wrestling business more, whereas protecting gimmicks and going out in public and not revealing if you're under a mask or whatever, you don't want to go out in public and take your mask off in public and show people who you are. That's just kayfabe, going against it. Nowadays, it's like with shows like Busted Open and different podcasts that you listen to where they kind of take you behind the curtain a little bit. Even though Busted Open they don't reveal everything. They just kind of give certain stuff behind the curtain, but they don't reveal everything. And
Yeah.
but with Bully and Mark and Tommy, of course, you know, they're going to do their due diligence of protecting the business. That's they're old school, you know, they're going to do that. But
yeah.
you know, with the discussion of things that's happened like recently, like you know, with the Wyatt Six when they came out, had that great intro on Raw where it showed the gorilla position and everybody was just kind of like taken out. And that same evening, a picture surfaced on Twitter of them at Whataburger. Shout out to Whataburger. But some people had a problem with that, you know, some people didn't. And so there's a line right there of people who, like, the people that did have a problem with that are people that subscribe more to the, in my opinion anyway, subscribe more to the old kayfabe. And then the people that
Yeah.
didn't have a problem with it are ones that are kind of changing with the times and kind of going with this new kayfabe. So, Hijack, I'd like to start with you. I know your time is limited with us tonight because you've got some prior engagements, but I'd like to get your thoughts on stuff pertaining to kayfabe.
Kayfabe, in my opinion, you know, I grew up, you know, Tony, you like me, we grew up as kids in the 80s. So kayfabe was at the highest of its point in wrestling with Vince McMahon. You know, he wanted everybody that was a heel to stay out of the sun, stay out of the public's eye, outside of the ring. You're causing mayhem and havoc in the ring. You are not supposed to be fraternizing with the fans, going up, taking pictures and autographs. So in my opinion, I'm kind of 50-50. I'm used to the old school, but then you got to get used to the new school. I say, you know, if you want these guys to stay away from each other, not take pictures with each other, because what was it? A few years ago, they were out of the country, and Braun Strowman, he took a picture with Roman Reigns, I think it was, wasn't it? They were out and about, and there was a big deal that they took a couple of pictures together being out. I want to say it was Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, but they were out and about, I want to say in France or Paris or somewhere out there, and
Okay.
the fans became kind of like, well, you guys are getting ready to fight each other in a couple of days. Why are you out taking pictures, smiling together out in public, you know, seeing the sights? That doesn't bother me because, you know, TV, in my opinion, is TV. You watch it, you enjoy it, but we can't engulf our life in what happens on TV. You get invested in it because it's a program, in my opinion. If it offends someone, then you know what? Okay. But if this was real life, then these people wouldn't talk to us on the outside when you see them at the airport, going into the hotel. You know, being in this industry for almost 15 years, all these folks, men and women in the industry, are some of the nicest people in the world. They're nicer than meeting ball players, football, baseball, basketball, because, you know, they walk by you and don't bat an eye. They may wave to you as they keep going. I understand your schedule's busy. But wrestlers, they take time to talk to you. They'll ask you how you're doing, how you're feeling, take a few minutes, sign with fans. And if you actually end up catching up with them, you know, maybe at the hotel bar or something one-on-one, and they may end up sitting and chatting and chopping it up with you for a few. Nothing wrong with that, you know, but kayfabe doesn't bother me to get down. I don't want to keep going on about it, but kayfabe doesn't bother me overall in the long run because I understand the reality of real life and what I'm watching on TV and what I want to follow. Everybody on the panel here knows I'm a big Wyatt family person, and I've been since NXT when they first popped up. It's just something caught me. And when the Wyatt Six came out, I said, you know what? We're going to get more of their mind than we did when Bray was here with us. But Bray is the reason why fans are sticking to this group, because they know they're going to get something fresh, new, and different and real. So kayfabe to me, if you want to stick with it, go for it. If you don't, that's fine with me. But when we see these guys in public, you know, let's give them a little bit of respect. You know, they're still putting on a show for us to be entertained and go see. So you know what? In my opinion, I don't mind kayfabe today. Yeah, you want to see it, but honestly, in my honest opinion, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Okay. Deb, how about you? What are your thoughts?
So my analysis is, as the concept of new kayfabe, we've discussed this a lot. I think it was an idea that Sam Roberts had thought of. I don't know if, he got, that thought from someone else. But yeah, it's kind of like the even more so blurred the lines between what's real and what's kind of part of the show. And there are so many examples these days of that. And if we talk about the, documentary or, mockumentary, if you will, we can talk about that as well with that. But I just think, like, with us being probably a couple decades or so now removed from the illusion being shattered.
Yeah.
I think it's been enough time now that it's kind of evolved in a number of ways that WWE even acknowledges they are actors playing a character. And we see that, on the post pay-per-view press conferences. We see that in the way that they talk about things, that they're acknowledging that they're actors playing a character, they're performers. And we see interviews with them out of character. Some might be in character a little bit. It just depends on who it is. We get all this different analysis of stuff that's kind of acknowledging that it's a performance and it's a show and these are characters. So with the Wyand 6 picture, first of all, I think whoever those fans were shouldn't have put that out there.
I agree.
That is a memory and a moment that they can just have for themselves. Like an amazing memory, like, oh my God, I ran into these guys at Whataburger after the show. We had a nice conversation. We took a picture. It was fine. It was great. And that can be a cherished memory that they will remember for the rest of their lives. I don't think there was any need to put that out there on social media.
No.
And like Elder said, it did a little bit, ruin the illusion even more of the horror character aspect of it, even with them in the process of kind of showing the people behind the masks. You were immersed in the world that they're creating.
Mhm.
And it's kind of tough to just be kind of pulled out of that with one picture. But at the same time, everybody knows that they're just normal people. Everybody knows that those are characters. We just like watching a movie, we get immersed in the story and we get immersed in the characters, but we still know that's an actor playing that character.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it other than the fact that those fans should have just kind of kept that to themselves as a cherished memory, and not gone and bragged about it. I mean, we've all had conversations with, wrestlers at shows and, had good memories, but there's no reason to put everything out there on social media just to try to get the likes and the clicks about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. And so the one more thing I'll say on it before we go to Steven. Whenever the topic gets brought up on Busted Open, and it's been a topic of conversation frequently since it happened, one thing that Dave mentions a lot is, and he even discussed it with Thunder, the one episode that she was on. He said, you are currently in a pretty heated feud with Deonna Purrazzo. Would you be taking pictures and posting pictures with her, at dinner after the show? And she was like, well, of course not. I think when Dave keeps bringing that up, the examples he keeps mentioning are examples of people taking pictures with their current rival, their current opponent. This was not that.
Yeah.
This was the wrestlers taking pictures with a fan out of character. I think they're two totally different scenarios and not comparable at all. And when we talk about kayfabe and how kayfabe has changed, it's just one thing. We don't see that for the most part. There are very few instances of we see on social media wrestlers taking pictures and posting pictures with the opponents that they're currently in a storyline with. That just doesn't really happen.
Right. And quick example I'll give, and I'll shoot to Steven. You're talking about the fan that shouldn't have posted that picture in the first place, right? Well, he has a lack of, in my opinion, he has a lack of respect for the business because
Right.
he saw them. He wouldn't have approached them if he didn't know who they were, and yet he's going to try to get a leg. Like Bully says, sometimes they want to be the first to breaking news or whatever. They want to be the first people to get that credit for whatever reason they're doing it for, right? Well, when I met Sting in 2017, when he signed that belt back there, he wasn't in his makeup. He was just wearing Oakley's. And I took that and intentionally did not ask for a picture because of the fact that he didn't have his face paint on. If he had been done up in his face paint, I would have sure asked for a picture. But no, the fact that he did not have his face paint on, I registered that. And because I'm a respectful fan, I wasn't going to ask that.
Yeah.
So,
same thing with like a Rey Mysterio.
Yes. Same thing.
You know, people who post pictures with him without his mask on, you know, that should be kept personal to them, or just don't ask for a picture when he doesn't have his mask on. There is a level of respect to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, Steven, what are your thoughts, brother?
We all know that these guys and these gals that get in that ring, they play a character. I mean, even in the Attitude Era, into the Ruthless Aggression Era, into now what we have now with social media, you know, before social media and now with social media, we all know as wrestling fans that this is a performance, that these are guys and girls that are in that ring putting on a character in front of a television screen. And when they go in between the ropes and they do their matches and storylines, they're putting on a performance. And then if they hang out outside of the ring, that's on them, because you know, you're coming up with ideas and you're collaborating. Hey, what do you want to do? Hey, what do you want to do? And then all that type of stuff. You don't see fellow wrestlers in a storyline putting pictures on social media with each other, you know, and all that type of stuff. And also as well, talking about, you know, your moment with Sting in 2017, for those that don't know, I was at WrestleCade in 21 and I ran into Enzo in the hotel and we passed him by and Dad was like, "Is that one of the wrestlers?" I'm like, "You know what? I think it is." And because I recognized the voice as soon as we were coming down the hall.
You can't mistake that voice.
And I was like, "Oh, it's Enzo. What's up, man?" And we talked for a little bit. You know, he asked how we were doing. We said we're doing good. You know, and we just talked for a few minutes, and then he went off about his business. And then when we went to the Busted Open Nation Across the Nation event that night, Mark Henry and I sat in the room and shot the shit for 20 plus minutes about, you know, me being blind and how I get around and all this different stuff. And I didn't ask for a picture because that wasn't the time to take a picture, you know, with him. That is a memory that will be in my mind for the rest of my life, because I sat there with Mark talking about me being blind for, you know, now 18 years. And he was telling me about his friend and now he gets around in his home and he's blind too. And he said, I think it's amazing, you know, that people, even without vision, you know, they have that awareness, you know, about how to get around and stuff and how to use their other senses, you know, to enhance their abilities and stuff. And I said, you know what, you're right. And I didn't go, oh my God, it's Mark Henry. He's a human being. We're all human beings. And that is a moment that I will ever, you know, remember, because it's in my memory and it will always be there. And and I understand there are fans that love the old kayfabe aspect, and I get that. But I'm in my opinion, it doesn't bother me, you know, with this new kayfabe, because I mean, we all know, if you're a wrestling fan, you know that these are performers. Just like if you are a fan of movies, like you guys were saying, we know that these are actors playing characters. Arnold Schwarzenegger, no matter what character he plays, Joe Pesci, no matter what character he plays, these are actors playing characters in roles in movies. And all that type of stuff. So we all know it's a performance. And to the fans that did post that picture with the Wyatt Six at Whataburger, that was not right, in my opinion.
GFY, I'll steal John's gimmick for tonight. GFY.
Not right at all. Cherish that moment. That will be a moment that will live with you for the rest of your natural life.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I agree. That's something I wanted to touch on. I mean, it's been a point of contention on you know, with us on Zoom and then listening to Busted Open talk, you know, hearing Dave talk about it and all
Yeah.
that. So I kind of wanted to bring it on the show and talk about it a little bit.
So Steve says in the chat, you know, a bunch of us ran into Karrion Kross and Scarlett at Jimmy Seafood. Was that a couple years ago now?
Yeah.
And yeah, we had our meal. Him and Scarlett had walked past our table when they were being seated. So we had our meal, and then as everybody was leaving, we got the chance to chat with Karrion Kross for about 10 minutes or so. And there's no reason to share publicly what we talked about. After we had our conversation, we took a bunch of group pictures and we posted those pictures. But at the time, that was just after he left WWE. It was like a week or so after he had his first interview on Busted Open, after he left WWE. But yeah, like Steve said, there was no reason for us to post, oh my God, we just saw Karrion Kross. This is what we talked about. Like, it's a private conversation. Things like that are not for public consumption sometimes.
No.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell everything. Go ahead, RJ.
Yeah, it's all for clout. We don't need to get the clout. Hey, cool, you got the pictures. We don't need to post everything. Some memories are meant to be kept with us to look at, enjoy ourselves. We don't need to express everything to the world.
No.
But you guys, I love y'all. I got to roll. It's about my time to get up out of here. Thank you for letting me join you the start of the 3-year anniversary. And appreciate you guys.
Brother.
And I will definitely be back on with you guys for more in the future, man. So everybody,
all right, man.
Real quick, you just follow me right around here. Cigars, Smoke in the Bay if you're a cigar fan. You guys continue to have a great show. Love you. Catch up with
you. Love you
soon.
too, man.
Thank you.
Later, brother.
Have fun, man. Later.
All right, guys.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, where were we? So yeah, with new kayfabe, for anybody that's not familiar, it's kind of this concept of that the kayfabe illusion has been shattered, and everybody loves to kind of know behind the scenes details and stuff. So new kayfabe is kind of, they use that against us in a way to make us question even more so, wait, was that part of the story or was that real?
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, because you want them to, try to make it as believable as they can. But at the same time, the toothpaste has been out of the tube with kayfabe. We're never going to go back.
Kayfabe has been dead for nearly 30 years.
Yeah, the illusion was shattered. The illusion cannot be unshattered.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's can never be the same. It can be different, and whether or not that's better or worse is everyone's.
It happened. I mean, it happened. I mean, the kayfabe was broken forever when the Click was at Madison Square Garden at a house show, and somebody snuck a camera into the garden and took a video of Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, and and Sean Walkman hugging in the ring and sharing a moment. You just shattered kayfabe.
So it's Triple H's fault, is what you're saying.
That's what that's what they said. That's what they said. And kayfabe being shattered, that forever changed the wrestling business forever. And there's no going back, because when you rip the Band-Aid off, that's it. I mean, the illusion is gone. The mystique is gone. I mean, because in the 80s, professional wrestlers and managers and bookers protected the business. I mean, there was they wore kayfabe on their sleeves, because they wanted to protect the business, and when kayfabe was shattered in 96, it was a done deal at that time. I mean,
Yeah.
And Elder says in the chat, I agree with him in partial on this kind of statement, is wrestling social media does make it worse in a way, because you have a whole sect of fans that demand the spoilers and the behind the scenes stuff and want to know everything that's going on backstage and all the gossip. You know, it's obviously that's not all fans, because we're not, you know, we don't care about that stuff for the most part, but there is a section of fans that live online that demand that the dirt sheets and news sites report on every little piece of gossip. They need to know everything. They need to know everything that's happening backstage and everything that's happening, you know, before it happens, and all the behind the scenes stuff and all the spoilers. And I even see people, you know, when Sean Ross Sapp doesn't get the scoop on something, people come at him on social media for not getting the scoop. And he's like, listen, if nobody's telling me stuff, nobody's telling me stuff.
You know, and that's also as well, I can equate this to music as well, because obviously back in the, you know, back in the 30s, 40s, you know, even further back, 20s, centuries ago, even, you know, up until probably, again, when the internet came around, nobody knew what was going to happen at a concert or a tour. And ever since the internet has came around, you can literally go on the internet and pull up a tour, pull up a set list, and see what the artist is doing.
Yeah.
And I kind of walk the line with that as well, because on one hand, yes, I want to be surprised, but also on the other hand, I need to know, is this worth my time? Is this worth my investment of me taking the time out of my time to go to a show and make sure that I'm getting my money's worth?
Yeah.
You know,
I would pay good money to watch you walk a line, Steven. But I was just watching a documentary earlier before we went live. The Monday Night War documentary on Peacock, and
it's a good one.
They were talking about the reason why WCW got a leg up on WWF at the time, the element of surprise, and how there was no way of knowing what was going to happen in WCW because of the internet, the lack of internet. Like, internet wasn't really a thing back then. It had just coming out or whatever. So there was no way for the fans to get a leg up and find out who was going to be backstage at WCW or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why it was so successful. The NWO was so successful, is because of the element of surprise. And that kind of goes along with your point, Steven. So
it's funny that you mentioned that, because along those lines, like, we just saw the, you know, the Who Killed WCW documentary. And in that documentary, they, you know, used the Internet Archives to find actual postings and discussions on, you know, wrestling forums online at the time, discussing things, you know, behind the scenes stuff. And it was funny because you'd see those, you know, comments that they showed from the Internet Archives of message boards back then, and in some ways it's not too far different from what people discuss on current social media.
I mean,
it's really funny.
Like back in November '97, when the Montreal Screwjob happened, I mean, after Brett was screwed, you know, by Vince McMahon and the WWF, you know, and Michaels, everybody was like, "What the hell just happened? This is bullshit," you know. And they're on they're on messaging board platforms and forums and just talking about, you know, what's going on, and it's not that much different than what it is today. I mean, it's insane how such a small percentage of group of people on the internet, you know, were talking about this stuff, you know, on message boards at AOL and Yahoo and all these different chats and stuff and all that type of stuff. And now it's everywhere. I mean, it's Twitter, it's YouTube, it's Facebook, it's all these different forums and these.
Yeah. And it's even on WWE's own, you know, products and social media. I mean, they do an amazing job with these documentaries that we're seeing lately on A&E. And a lot of it is, you know, giving us a glimpse behind the scenes. And
they're pulling you behind the curtain, but they're not revealing everything.
Right. They're doing it in a very smart way for the most part with that. It reminds me of, so everyone probably watched it, the Paul Heyman documentary that came out on the WWE Network years ago. One thing he said, and this is funny because, like, prior to this documentary, I was fully, like, bought in. Like, I can't stand Paul Heyman. Like, I was fully bought in. And then after watching that documentary, I gained a great deal of respect for him. And I was like, oh my God, he's amazing. He's extremely talented. one thing he said in the documentary that really struck me is he said about him getting started in the business when he was a young teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I was more interested in like what happened, like how it happened, and then what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's really like that was his mindset. And I'm that way in a lot of aspects too, because I watch a lot of documentaries. Like when I'm home by myself, when Seth's not here, all I do is watch documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am fascinated about learning about how things happened, behind the scenes stuff. And I think that's natural for a lot of people. Everybody wants to know behind the scenes stuff. Kayfabe illusion was shattered. So we kind of are fascinated now to see the process of it all.
Yeah.
And it's like with The Undertaker. I mean, The Undertaker's been doing his own podcast, for, so far this year, doing this now. And it's amazing how he's been telling stories on his podcast, but he still hasn't took you off, completely behind the curtain. He's let you behind the curtain, but he's not revealed every dirty little secret, that they did, as far as coming up with everything. I mean, he's letting you there, but not fully there. And
right.
You got to be smart about not giving away too much of your secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to keep them surprised, keep them coming back.
Yeah.
Because,
and I think that's the key, is being smart about it and not giving away too much. We don't have to know everything. Keep us guessing just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they're doing a really good job with that today. Even, there's some wrestlers out there now that still believe in the element of surprise. They want to shock. And I can't remember what happened recently, but it was something that took us all. Okay. Case in point, we're going to get into it, and it's a good segue. This is a good segue right here. What Mariah May did to Toni Storm.
Yeah.
That
was
shit.
That was a shock. No one saw that coming, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. How it wasn't leaked out. It wasn't, she won. She went right up the ramp, got that belt, and it was like instantaneously blasted her with it.
Mm-hmm.
And AEW told a good story on leading up to that, on the relationship between Mariah May and Toni Storm and the other.
They got us invested into their relationship, their friendship.
Yes.
So that they could rip it away from us.
Right. So they could rip that rug out from under us. And
yeah.
And I watched that today. Actually, I rewatched that segment when she turned on Toni, and you could
hear the crowd gasp, like they were completely surprised. It was a complete surprise. I mean, she blasted her so hard and beat the living hell out of her. It was insane.
The visuals of that was just crazy.
God.
Just a crazed maniac.
And Toni, crying and screaming, and her facial expressions, and all of us on Zoom, like it was nearing the end of the show. So we pretty much, kind of expected like, okay, she's going to go up and grab the title, and then that's how it's going to go out.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we were already kind of like in that, this is the end of the show. The show's over now. Yeah. And once that happened, all of us, I think, went, oh my God. Yeah. Like we just were screaming, and like, we were all just absolutely shocked. And I
could feel every single blow.
So here's one kind of example of how kayfabe still works in the new era. Is I was so immersed with what was happening on the screen, staring at it so intently. I was like, oh my God, Busted Open After Dark. And I was like, I forgot about it for a couple minutes.
I'm gonna tell
and another one, Tony, that just popped in my head.
It was already just past 10 at that moment. So yeah, they got us. They really got us.
Yeah. Another one, Rock and Cody in Chicago in the rain. When Rock was whipping his ass with the belt and just laying stiff blows.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching so intently going, holy shit, like they got us. The Road to Mania 40 was another way of kayfabe living again in a new era, because we were also invested into the Cody Rhodes storyline heading into Mania. We wanted him to finish his story. And when you keep the fans on the edge of your seat and and keep them guessing on what you think is going to happen, and you got them, where you want them, you won.
Yeah.
And what they did on Wednesday night, that was a complete surprise. We were all thinking, okay, Mariah May's going to win. Yep, she's going to win. Yep, okay, good match, whatever. And then, holy cow, like that just happened.
It really was a great match. They told the story throughout the match as well.
Yeah.
I will give them full credit for that. They really did a good job of telling that story. Like, going back to Mariah May first coming to AEW, the story arc has been incredible. And I think sometimes with AEW, a lot of their story arcs kind of go a little under the radar. Like, if you're not paying attention close enough, a lot of people are kind of just missing or not noticing the stories that are happening until it's, several months down the road and something like that happens. And then we go back and think like, oh, this has been building for months and months.
Right.
And now I'm anxious to see what happens next week, with Mariah and with Tony. I mean, because, just the crazy maniac, the blood, Tony's blood all over her. She was like, I want every splatter of your blood all over me, and just
right. I really hope a lot of people tune in on Wednesday. I saw lots of comments on social media since Wednesday when that happened, saying, I've been kind of meaning to get back to watching AEW. I fell out of it. I've been kind of meaning, just haven't gotten around to it. This is the week, man. This is the week. Get back into it, man.
Yeah. One thing I want to point out, when that turn happened, she was laying that belt into Tony and Luther. Whipping him in the back with that belt. That had to have hurt.
Poor Luther.
You bastard.
Oh my God, you killed Luther, you bastards.
She did.
Yeah. And then whenever, she took Tony's shoe. Tony should watch for the shoe because, whenever she was hitting Tony with that shoe, you could hear the thud of the shoe against her head, and in her grinding that heel. The heel of the shoe, and grinding that heel into her head, making her bleed even more. The visual of that, and I posted a picture on social media, where the way it went off the air. It kind of reminded me of this picture that I have in my room hanging on the wall.
The poster,
The poster of Thunder holding Dave.
That's beautiful artwork. Artwork. And the artist was very, very generous to Dave. They made him look really muscly there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
but I think Dave had mentioned on the show that it reminded him of the classic picture of who was it holding up Medusa's bloody head.
Oh, Clash of the Titans. It was Clash
of the Titans. Yeah. And I think that's a great comparison as well. It's just incredible and well done. Very, very well done.
Yeah. That right there, I told y'all the other day on Zoom, I said that had to be like in the top 5 moments of AEW, like holy, moments. So because you didn't see it coming.
No.
So,
and if anybody says they saw it coming, they're just lying.
They're lying.
They're lying to sound smart.
Yeah. So anyway, so check out and another, you said you'd forgotten about Busted Open After Dark, and I'm gonna wait till I tell Uncle Bully about that. Anyway, having him on commentary as it was happening was cool too. Like
how good is he at play-by-play?
He's cool.
It's great.
So that's a guarantee.
We love listening to Uncle Bully on Wednesday nights.
Yes, he's my favorite uncle. So that's a guaranteed. Tony Khan's going to go over every Wednesday, so that's a guaranteed play-by-play moment for Bully, and then that's a win-win, I think. So
also shout out to Bully for still doing the show, like super.
Oh yeah. Oof. I hope he's feeling better, by the way.
Yeah, I hope he's feeling better. That tomorrow is Bully's birthday. Yes, that reminds me. Tomorrow is Bully's birthday. Monday is Dave's birthday. So don't anybody forget to say happy birthday to them on all the social medias.
Go ahead and draft your tweets right now, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Because if it
So-
wasn't for them, we all wouldn't be here.
No. They are the reason, y'all, that we are even a crew.
Mhm.
Dave is the reason, because I'll never forget that day one of pandemic when they weren't live on Sirius, and we were all wondering, what do we do? What's
Yeah.
going on? And we went on Twitter, and Dave posted a video to Twitter, and I'll never forget, because he couldn't work his phone right. He had it sideways trying to do the video, and he couldn't figure out how to get the video turned right side up. And we were all in the chat, and he was calling some of us out on while he was doing the video.
I think that was like early morning, right? It was like 10 or something in the morning, or 11 in
Yes.
the morning, if I remember. Yeah.
Yes. And so then we decided to get on Discord, and there was a certain few of us that started a show on Discord. And I remember driving my truck, and I was listening to the show, and they had Thunder Rosa on. She was our very first guest. Thunder Rosa was.
Yeah.
And she couldn't figure out how to get it to work right, so she was trying to get.
Oh,
it's
none of
Discord.
us understood the Zoom technology at the time. We were
No.
all so new to it.
It was Discord. It was the Discord.
Oh,
It was
in
like
Discord,
the voice,
yeah.
the voice
that,
chat
yeah.
thing. I
It was the
I
first
still don't
time
know.
we were all, yeah. I don't know.
I still don't get it. So I don't even
But yeah.
try.
Now it's 4 years later, and we're still doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember we had all been like interacting on Twitter for a while, like in 2019 before pandemic happened. We'd all been interacting in Twitter, like during Busted Open, commenting on each other's stuff. And then, the Discord came about as a way for us to kind of have a more, an easier chat, because, Twitter, you can comment, but it's not very easy to have a back and forth chat with multiple people.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 years later, we're still doing this, and how much we've grown.
Yeah. We're doing a really good job with our show, and thanks to the support for everyone in the live chat, and
3 years of this show, and how much we've kind of accomplished with this. That reminds me, I will be putting together a list and posting it soon of just in the past 3 years we've interviewed a lot of amazing, talented people. So I'm going to be compiling a list of all the interviews that we've done over the past 3 years, just kind of as a we've come so far. We've been able to do a lot. We've had the opportunities to do a lot, and it's all been awesome.
You just made the list. But anyway,
hi guys.
Hi guys.
But anyway, yeah. So AEW was great. Mariah May, eager to see.
Oh, and shout outs to MJF and Will Ospreay. That was a great opening segment.
Oh, yes.
And when the hell did MJF channel his inner Joe Pesci?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So MJF is another one that really does his part to keep kayfabe alive in a lot of ways. I mean, MJF does not use his social media for personal stuff. He only uses his social media to promote what he's doing on the show.
Yeah. Or like at that convention when Ashley waited in line, what was it, an hour and a half to meet him, and and then you and Ashley had that picture with him, and y'all were both flipping him off.
I let her go wait in line while I still walked around.
Yeah, but that in itself, I mean, he's such a good heel. He is such. I mean, he's people were cheering him for a little while, but he deserves to be a heel. I mean, that's where he needs to be.
He's back where he needs to be. He's so
he's a
so
natural
good at the heel.
at it. He is very good at that, and I think that's also another thing when we talk about new kayfabe. It's kind of like I'm thinking of so many examples now. Is with heels, I think the heat towards heels is not what it once was, just because we kind of have a respect level that we understand that they're incredibly talented at being the bad guy, being someone that you want to see them get their comeuppance. So like MJF and I think Miz was one of the first ones that I could think of that people started to recognize, like, oh, he's really, really good at this.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's a heel and he's an asshole and he's arrogant, but he's really, really good at it. And there's a respect level where people kind of understand, like you're good at what you do. You're really talented at playing that type of character. And MJF is one of those.
Right.
He's just a natural heel.
Yeah. Well, speaking of heels, the Bloodline or the new Bloodline, they just keep rolling out beautiful bean footage for us. They keep on with the story. They keep on just when you think it's getting boring. Nope. Here's this person introduced to the Bloodline. Here's this person getting beat down by Jacob Fatu. Holy crap at Jacob Fatu. I mean, I wish
he's a bad man.
I wish Hijacker was still here for this because him and Jacob are cool. They've gotten to hang out.
They go way back.
And Jacob Fatu, I'm so amazed at not only his character work, the way he looks on screen, the shape that he's gotten into, to be even more menacing. Like, he just looks amazing. I don't know what he did, but he shed probably 45, 50 pounds. Looks incredible. But the intensity that he has when he comes out and he's moonsaulting off of this Samoan drop, he does where he throws them in the air and catches them, and I mean, holy crap,
it's just crazy. Yeah.
And
I was aware of him for a while, like, I knew he was on MLW. I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of MLW, but I caught it once in a while. And there are some people in our group, John, Ezra, Neil, who, pay attention to much more of the indie scene and what's going on in the smaller promotions than we do. So I knew of him and I've seen him. And I knew that it was probably only a matter of time till he joined the rest of his family in WWE. But once we kind of heard all the rumors swirling around and, pretty much knew that it was coming at some point, I was just excited for so many more people to be able to see him. He's incredible. What I saw of him on MLW, he was definitely a standout in that company. Like, you knew he was destined for more than just the indies.
Right. Well, from what I've been told, because I haven't watched MLW either, but from what I've been told, what you see in the ring, and if you think he's intense just by his actions in the ring, wait till he gets a microphone, because he's great. He's great on the mic, is from what I understand. And but his role in the Bloodline, I don't want to see him on the mic as his role in the Bloodline, because Solo Sikoa is the and if they ever decide to bring in a wise man for the new Bloodline, who knows?
Jacob Fatu is such a natural, big guy. I mean, he is not your prototypical big guy. I mean, he is so athletic for a big man. I mean, he hits hard, he moves quick. I mean, just that dude's awesome. I mean, he is such a natural, and he is going to mix it up with some of the best wrestlers, for years to come in WWE. I mean, him and Cody, I could see having a singles run, him and Orton having some singles matches, him and KO having some singles matches. And speaking of the Bloodline, like talking about the ending of the Smackdown, those last 15 minutes, I mean, them beating the hell out of Cody and then tying him up in the ropes and forcing him to watch his friend, Randy Orton, get the shit kicked out of him. I mean, that right there, good.
That was a tough visual to see, watching Cody. They had him tied up in the ropes and he was just crying. I mean, that was tough, but they are telling a good story over there.
And when Roman comes back, it is going to be legendary. As far as
yeah.
that
Oh my
pop.
God, yeah.
That pop
So-
is going to be godlike. Like
We have 3 more weeks until SummerSlam. And, a lot of people are anticipating Roman's return at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And I think in the next 3 weeks, we're going to see just an even more intense, destructive, dominating Bloodline
Yeah.
until SummerSlam. And, whatever's going to happen, I can't even kind of think about it at this time, because like we really have no idea what's going to happen. They've thrown us so many curveballs,
Mm-hmm.
Things that have been unexpected. Like we didn't expect them to slaughter Paul Heyman like they did.
No.
didn't expect Paul
Um,
Heyman to take bumps through a table at 58 years old at the Madison Square Garden. I mean, just
Yeah.
dude took a pounding in the ring and outside the ring and took it like a champ. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think we're going to see Heyman until SummerSlam.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question is, do you guys think like if we get Roman coming back at SummerSlam, does Paul Heyman come out first and introduce him, or do we just get Roman's music as a surprise? Roman comes out with Paul Heyman standing behind him.
I think we're going to get Heyman walking out and pointing to the ramp.
Yes.
And then Roman's
Okay.
music hits.
That's what I was going to say, Steven. Get out of my head. We're going to see Paul Heyman just kind of casually walk out like he does, and stand at the entranceway, have that whole ECW stance where he just stands like that.
Uh-huh.
And then he's just going to turn around and look at the entranceway, and then Roman's music's going to hit. I think that's the way it's going to go down. And then I don't know if we're going to get just Roman and Paul at first, and then form their bloodline like Jimmy. I'm sure Jimmy and Jay are going to be back together in this version of the bloodline.
I would
with
think
Roman.
so. Yeah.
But who else could they bring in? Like, who else do you want to see? No, I don't want to see Sami Zayn. I don't want to see Sami Zayn. No, I don't. I don't want to see Sami Zayn back with this bloodline. I mean, I know he's an honorary Uce, but I don't want to see Sami Zayn with. I want to see them introduce another, because there are plenty more members of, like, maybe bring in, I don't know, Rikishi or so. I don't know. What do you think, Deb?
I do think that. So I kind of differ from you guys in the way that I think Roman's going to come back. I think something's going to be happening where it comes to a boil, and then all of a sudden Roman's music hits. And he just, comes out with Paul Heyman behind him. And kind of like, maybe Paul Heyman says something or just has a facial expression that says like, I got my back up now. You can't you can't put me down for good.
I don't think we're going to get any physical, activity when Roman returns at SummerSlam. It's just going to be Roman and Heyman staring down at the new bloodline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that's how you go off.
Yes.
And I think at some point, not right away, not at SummerSlam, but maybe a few more weeks down the road, when Roman, something happens that Roman decides he needs more backup, then maybe he goes to Sami Zayn and tries to convince Sami, hey, we need you, Uce. You're still an honorary Uce. We need you. We need your backup. Can you help us?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's how they can get Sami into it. I think so many people are ready for Sami to be back into it, especially with Roman obviously being the face now. Every week we're hearing the "We Want Roman" chants.
Oh yeah.
Roman is going to come back as the face. And then I think the fans are going to be clamoring for Sami to reunite with Roman and the Usos.
Yeah. Well, my next question is, and I've been thinking about this for the past couple of days. Jay is doing his own thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jay is it's like he's not in the Wyatt Six storyline, but it seems to be around him.
He's ancillary. Yes.
Yes.
It's definitely around him.
Yes. So how do you get Jay back involved with Bloodline business? I mean, how do you think that'll go down?
That's a tough one. I almost think in a way like, Jay, we've seen little social media exclusives and different things on Raw Talk, especially of Jay kind of being like, he said, I don't want the Fireflies anymore. You could have them. And then this Monday he did the yeet and run.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe it comes to a point where he's like, listen, I don't want to get caught up in this Wyatt 6 stuff. Like I'm kind of afraid of what might happen. Can I come back together with you guys? Will you take me back and not only help protect me, but I'll help you take down Solo?
No, I don't know. To me, that makes Jay look weak, though, if he did that. You know what I mean?
I get that.
I don't know,
get
Steven. What
that.
do you think?
It's really tough because with him being on the Raw roster and with the Bloodline being on SmackDown, like, I don't
That's
know.
true.
Like, it's really tough.
Or since he is on Raw, he could say, I've had enough of the Wyatt 6 on Raw. I can't take this anymore. I'm going to the other show.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then yes, that makes sense because he sees the writing on the wall. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm out of here. And then that's when he jumps ships to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Bay says, have the Wyatt 6 target Jimmy, then Jay comes to help him. Well, Jimmy has to come back first. Jimmy's out.
That's the thing.
Jimmy's out injured right
Let
now.
it has to be the other way around. The Wyatt 6 attacks Jay, and then Jimmy comes out.
Yes.
Yeah.
That right there.
That could work.
That might have been what John meant.
Could work.
But anyway, whatever the case, we're here for it. I can't wait to see what happens going forward with this.
Also, what I
Bloodline
can't
story.
wait for as well, Mommy's back.
Yes, that's another story that I'm here for. Liv and Rhea, and what's going to happen with Dom? Who is he going to side with? But
yeah,
that I'm
and what's
also
going on with the rest of the Judgment Day? Like Finn Balor
Yeah.
seems to be up to something recently, and we don't quite know what yet.
yeah.
And also
And
on Raw, Punk and Rollins had that one hell of a segment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, W for Wyatt 6. W for Wyatt 6. So that's the new Wyatt 6 logo, the Whataburger logo. Anyway, enough of that. We're gonna let y'all go. It's been a great show. AEW Collision's about to be on, or in fact, it's coming on right now as I speak. So, Steven, where can people find you on socials, my man?
You can find me on the old Twitter machine at Steven_Wyand, and you can also find me on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific on Our Nation Sports Show on YouTube at youtube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Also, follow the sports show on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show and the Facebook page at Our Nation Sports Show. And in just a few short weeks, we're going to be getting into our NFL conference previews as we will be previewing each conference in the month of August as the NFL season is approaching us in the next couple of months. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And off season going around in the NBA right now, in the NFL and all that good stuff. And baseball's heating up and All-Star break is here. NHL season's over. So in a couple of weeks, our show's going to be getting really hot and heavy when it comes to the NFL coverage. So we can't wait for that.
Ooh.
So, and once again, thank you for having me on the show.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Thanks for coming in clutch, brother. Deb,
Yeah.
how can people find you on the socials?
As always, at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine and on the Instagram. And just real quick, make sure you hit the like button on this. Make sure you subscribe. Please, please, please share it on all your socials to all your friends.
2 seconds.
Yeah. Just two seconds.
Just 2 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
Not 2.7 seconds.
No, 2. It's 2 seconds.
Yeah, it takes absolutely no effort to click that subscribe button and click that share button. So we love seeing new people in the chat every week. So just make sure you share it out if you enjoy us. And that way, more people kind of get introduced to our group and kind of our extended family, if you will.
our whole vibe, if you will. Well, that's good, Deb. Thank you for that. And of course, I can be found at Tony Justice AJFA on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're a Metallica fan, you know what that means. Ooh!
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we will catch you all on the flip. I didn't stream.